For our first story, we have Mike, female 28, husband, male 26, complains about using condoms and now I have the ick. How do I get past this? My husband and I have been together 7 years, married for 3. Our sex life has been decent. It's had its ups and downs, but generally we have a great time together. So last year, I had gotten my IUD out with the intention of starting a family. Due to many circumstances, job changes, mental health, finances and the like, that goal was put on a bit of a back burner, with multiple conversations with my husband about why and a general idea of when I'd feel comfortable for us to reassess. In that time, intimacy had definitely been scarce. When we started being intimate again, I told him we needed condoms as I was not up for putting IUD back, and wasn't sure what BC I'd even want to try at this time. We got them, no issue. Before we even started using them, anytime sex was brought up, comments including phrases like, "You're making me use condoms," and a very clear dislike of the idea under the guise of joking. And every time, I'd remind him it's not really funny and I'm not making him do anything. So the time finally came and we're having a good time, foreplay. He sticks it in, I'm not facing him at this point, and it doesn't feel like he has one on, so I flat out ask. He says no, but he will go grab one in a sec and says he won't come in me. I promptly remind him pre-cum can have viable sperm and can cause pregnancy, though unlikely. So he goes to get one and we continue. The next time we're in the middle of doing it, probably a little over a week later, he suggests anal, which I like but he's not a fan of. I can count the number of times on one hand that we have done anal in the 7 years we have been together. He follows this prompt up with the notion of not using a condom if we do anal instead. I tell him I'm not really in the mood for that today, and we carry on. I officially have the ick. He doesn't feel like a safe place anymore, sexually. I don't feel as comfortable as I once did. This feels like a relationship-breaking issue. Even if not immediately but in the long run. Could some kind of counseling or therapy fix this? That's the end of our first post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, "Sit him down and say, hey, I need you to care about birth control as much as I do. I can't relax and enjoy sex if I'm worried about falling pregnant. Your petty complaining is making me feel unsafe and unattracted to you. Can you work with me on this so we can keep our sex life? I'm letting you know that this isn't a major problem yet, but it can become one if you don't take me seriously about this." Our second commenter says, "There's no fixing a person who refuses to acknowledge your needs. He hears you, he understands, he simply doesn't care. Sex should be off the table unless he's wearing a condom. He puts it in and he's not wearing one. Immediate stop and no continuation. He makes a joke about it or complains. Ask him when he's scheduled his vasectomy. I'm sorry your husband is a selfish jerk. But unless you're ready for pregnancy you need to look out off yourself and be serious about it. There are so many condoms on the market that feel miles better than the usual ones people always go for. Skin is great. For me, someone pressuring me into sex without respecting boundaries is a relationship-ending issue. Just because he is your husband doesn't mean he is entitled to use you in whatever ways he wishes." Our third commenter says, "I don't really want to be the one to say this. What your husband did is called stealthing, and relates to what's called conditional consent. You should Google it, but you should also know it's a kind of sexual assault." For our second story, we have update. My husband, 32 male, revealed to me, 30 female, that he may want to have children someday. Hi, I'm back. A lot of you commented on my post, so I figured I owed everyone an update. TLDR at bottom if you don't want to read through whole recap of our follow-up. So it was a couple days after the first post that I was finally able to sit him down for a follow-up conversation. I really appreciate everyone who gave me advice going into this. It really helped me figure out the direction I wanted to go in. We had just had our morning coffees. Mood was good, so I asked him if he was in a headspace for a big conversation. Of course he essentially said, "Well, now you've got to tell me anyways, otherwise I'll wonder." I told him I wanted to talk more about his stance on children and if that is something he feels he needs, and I want to make sure we're still on the same page. You guys, the way he looked at me so shocked and asked, "Where is this coming from?" Like we hadn't just had a huge convo about birth control a couple days prior. I was stunned. I explained that his reasoning, not the fact that he didn't want to get the vasectomy, made me nervous that he does want to have kids someday. I told him the phrase, always envisioned myself having kids, is what really got to me and made me the most anxious. He grabbed my hand and immediately apologized for the way he said that. He explained that yes, he always thought that maybe he would have a kid or two growing up, but that isn't his dream in life per se. He also explained that the world is not one he would currently even want to raise a child in. Well, I followed that up. If with hypothetically all the conditions were right, world gets better, our finances are better, etc. If he thought that would increase from, would be nice, to, I've got to have it. Also took this moment to reiterate that I am not having children, so if he thinks that it's something he actually wants, we need to have a bigger discussion. He took a moment to think, and told me he didn't ever think he would need to have children. He does still maintain that it's a nice idea, but that it's really nothing more than a nice thought. He also said he would not want to raise a family with anyone but me, so if we're not having kids then he's not having kids. I guess a lot of you in the comments called it, he's fine not having kids. I panicked and didn't ask him to elaborate. However, he does agree that choice of words did make it seem like he could have changed his mind. Sue, we're fine, everything's fine. We do still need to figure out a new birth control and whatnot. Thank you to everyone who threw in some more suggestions for both me and Hubs to look into. But I am just so glad that my wonderful husband is still on the same page with me. TLDR. The way my husband reacted to the mention of a vasectomy freaked me out because I don't want to have kids. We had a follow-up convo and we are still on the same page about not having kids. Phew. That's the end of our second post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, think there's 4 types of people: the people who are dead set on having children and will give up a relationship to have them. Child-free people who are dead set on not having children and will give up a relationship with someone who wants them. Those who are on the fence about having children and aren't fussed not having them. And those who stay in a relationship with someone who doesn't want kids. Our second commenter says, glad to hear it worked out. Our third commenter says, so nice to read a happy resolution. For our last story, we have, my GF, female 19, and I, male 21, just finished having sex and I believe I just realized how much I really suck at bed. What can I even do? Honestly, I feel kind of crushed right now. I think I just realized how much I absolutely suck at having sex. Basically, my girlfriend came over since she had a free day from work. We ate something together and got to it. We started with some foreplay, mostly kissing, but she said I was biting her, opening my mouth in a weird way, or that my beard was getting in the way. She also mentioned that I had too much saliva in my mouth. I know she didn't say those things to be mean, but they were true. Then she told me it would be better to just skip straight to sex and asked me to get a condom. A little disappointed since I enjoy foreplay, I agreed and grabbed one from my drawer. She wanted to ride me in cowgirl position, which I really like, but honestly, it had been a while since our last time, and I completely blanked out. I wasn't moving or saying anything, just enjoying the view. She told me to grab her hair, which I did, but then she said I was pulling too hard and that we should stop. Then she asked me to talk dirty to her. This isn't new, but it's not a common request either. I just stayed silent, wondering what the hell I was supposed to say. She said it should be something natural and that I shouldn't force it. All of this was happening while she was still riding me. Maybe it was stupid, but I got nervous and asked what she meant by dirty talk, which, I guess, turned her off because she said, maybe let's just hurry, I have some homework to do, and started going faster. Obviously, I got even more nervous and just froze. She then said, come on, grab my hips or something. Which I did, but I was so tense that I finished almost instantly. She wasn't visibly mad, but it was clear this had been a big turn off for her. She grabbed her things and went to her car. I tried to talk about it, but she told me not to worry, that I was probably just stressed, and that everyone has bad days in bed. But honestly, this isn't the first time. Every sexual encounter with her goes kind of like this. I always get nervous, or I can't go with the flow or figure out what she enjoys. I'm a pretty vanilla guy, the first like slow, simple sex without much talking. She prefers things to be more aggressive, which is fine, but I guess we're just different in that regard. I'm not sure if it's related, but I do have autism, something she is aware of and has helped me accept with time and love. I struggle with communication, spatial awareness, and such, so it's really easy for me to zone out during those moments or get really nervous, even though we've been together for 2 years and have had sex plenty of times. She may not say it to avoid hurting my feelings, but I know she is never satisfied. In heated arguments, she has told me that she has never had an orgasm with me, not even once, which, I guess, is something many people hear, but it's still soul-crushing. I've really tried to improve. I've experimented with new things, even if they make me uncomfortable, to try to make this work for both of us, but nothing seems to help. Honestly, I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do anymore. I do enjoy sex, obviously, but since she doesn't, we don't have it often, and that hurts her as well. I'm tired of feeling like just a dildo that finishes in a couple of minutes and goes soft, with as much interaction as a pet rock in bed. But at the same time, I don't know how to take control of the situation, because when I try, I either hurt her physically by mistake or make things really awkward and turn her off. Maybe this is more of a rant than anything else, but any advice would be welcome. Other than this, our relationship is good. I love her, and she loves me too. We don't argue often, and every major disagreement has always been solved with teamwork. We are each other's first relationship, and as long as things remain good, we have no intention of breaking up anytime soon. So I guess my question is, what would you do in my situation? That's the end of our last post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, "Hi, I didn't read every single comment, so I'm not sure if this was said already, but a few things. 1. It can be better to have the what feels best conversation when you're not having sex, so the pressure isn't as high and no one gets their feelings hurt, hopefully. 2. When pulling her hair, it hurts less if you grab at the root, right above the nape of her neck, and tug a little instead of the ends, and even just running your fingers through her hair at the root can be a step in the right direction. 3. When grabbing her hips, you might want to try slight pressure with your thumb on her hip bone. And help position her. I know when I ask for this, it's sometimes because I can't find the rhythm my BF wants and he isn't reacting. So it can be an insecurity thing, making it awkward and having her wishing you'd be more forceful. 4. If you find you're more submissive, I am too. And by completely random happenstance, I'm also autistic, but am female, so it's a bit more easy to find dominant partners to spell things out for me. You two may just not be sexually compatible, and you might want to find someone who isn't doming from the bottom to get you to dom when you're not dominant. Hope this makes sense." Our second commenter says, "It'll be real, dude, I'm sorry this happened. I didn't have as much performance anxiety as you, but it was still pretty bad for me, especially in my first relationship. What made a literal ocean of a difference was making it a habit to make her finish first. Just like that, I was able to melt most of it away because I already performed, so I could focus on just being present and enjoying the moment. Over time it became easier to be natural the entire time, but in the beginning that had to be the one thing I can say made a tangible difference immediately, and it's something you can immediately apply. You should also have a serious convo with her outside of intimate moments where you're just honest. I know I haven't been satisfying you here, but I really want to change that. It's hard for me to come up with things to say or do in the moment, so what kind of actions or phrases turn you on? Or SMTH along those lines, so you're not so lost and tense trying to figure out what to do in the moment. You can sort of have a plan of what you're going to try." Our third commenter says, "Yeah, honestly this experience would leave me feeling like crap, and no wonder you are having trouble performing. It sounds like maybe there are awkward moments during sex and things she wishes you would do. Have you both tried to talk about this, not during intimacy, and work together on this issue, compromise? Do you think your own anxiety, neurodivergence is affecting this in ways you can work on individually? Can she find a way to satisfy some of these needs on her own, or accept you are a bit more vanilla? In my late teens I had a sweet boyfriend, but I ended up hurting his feelings by not being tactful about what I wanted in the bedroom. Sometimes I became frustrated and resentful." That's all for today. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.